Good morning, Fancy Meat Computers. How's life? How's Friday? How's your Friday going so far? I hope that your Friday is going quite well. I hope that you don't fall into a well. That's right, I rhymed well with well. What are you going to do about it? Bad morning. Ooh. Anxiety-riddled morning. Oof. How much time do we have for the test? You have 24 hours. You have 24 hours to complete the test. Yeah. Yep, the test writing parameters this time around are precisely and exactly similar to the test writing parameters the last time around. So, yeah. I suppose we might as well get, like, test questions out of the way. If anybody has any questions relating to the test that they'd like answered on this very fine live stream, on this very fine, chilly morning, we can totally do that. I think, like, y'all should have a pretty good, like, understanding of the procedure anyway. Considering you wrote the last one, right? Ooh. Can you talk to other students about the questions? No! That's academic dishonesty. It's a test. It's a test. Where can you download test 1 questions? Is it still up? I wonder. Like, are you talking about, like, because this is test 2, right? I don't know if it's still live. Let's see. Spectral access has been granted. To me. I think you can still get this. Nope, that's everybody's submissions. I wanted to look at to see if it still had the files attached. Edit folder. Looks like it still has the file attached. You should still be able to fetch it from Jupyter, I think. Just to confirm, bonus questions from tests can't apply to assignments and vice versa. Correct. For the file questions on the test, will they have the same level of difficulty as the questions from assignment 9? I think it's easier, actually. I believe that the file handling related material on the test is somewhat easier than the file handling related material on the assignments, on the assignment 9. Fair game, though. For the exam, the file I/O question will be full strength. So can't access it from Avenue because the time expired. Well, that's probably fine. I think bonus questions from the midterm only apply to the midterm and well, since we have the 2 midterms, bonus marks from midterm 2 can't apply to midterm 1 and vice versa. Yeah, it's like the way I explained it once is, imagine you have bowls of soup, right? You have bowls and you're filling them with soup. The bowl that holds your assignment grade can only hold 40% of your final grade. So if you pour more soup into that bowl than it can hold, then it just spills over and is lost. How many questions does the test have? How much is the weight of the midterm bonus question? These are a lot of questions. So I don't ever disclose the number of questions I never disclose the number of questions, because it's kind of like this course doesn't work like a course with a multiple choice exam, right? It's not like, it's not like the difference between 50 multiple choice questions and 100 multiple choice questions. The tests are designed so that they have a good mix of difficulty, right? Like, some questions are harder, some are easier, but overall, we consider the difficulty of the test in aggregate, right? And that's how we determine how long to make the test. So really, like, in theory, I could set like a one. I could set a one test, a one question test, and it would, like, as long as it was broken into subparts sufficiently well, and as long as all of those subparts were, like, you know, of a particular difficulty, then everything would be fine, right? What is the weight of the midterm bonus question? Well, I can tell you what my general rule is for how much of a bonus percentage I typically permit on such things. Number one, no more than 115%. And number two, usually no less than 110%. So normally the bonus percentage is somewhere between 10 and 15%. Let's say if a student got like 120 on everything, would they get 120 in the course? No, it's impossible. Course grades are capped hard at 100%. You know, because it doesn't actually make sense to have grades over 100%. But yeah. Do bonus marks transfer between the tests and the exam? No. It's category restricted. Is the assignment still due Sunday? Yes. Although I suppose if you asked me very nicely, I might be willing to extend it to Monday. A9 and A10 both due on December 7th. No. What? No. Frig no. No, 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 no. No, I'm sorry. Did he push A9? Am I getting the, Let's just see. Let's see. Oh, this is the wrong class. Nah. That's the wrong class. That will explain it. Let's try the right class this time. Yeah. Where was this announced? Because I don't see it. In the assignment section. Well, isn't that interesting? I'm going to have to take a look and see if I authorized that, because I don't think I authorized that. Yes. Okay, but where was that said, Tanya? every assignment is now released. I must be old, then. I don't think he... let's see here. And that was done 2 weeks ago. Alright. Well. Alright, we'll keep it. But, I'm gonna have to have a word with Mark about clearing these things with me before he makes those types of decisions. I wouldn't have given you that generous an extension. Just so you know. So, give Mark a good course review, because, yeah. Yeah. If you're seeing this go into hiding. Alright, so you don't have to worry about Assignment 9. However, I would recommend you take a look at it anyway, because some of the Test 2... no, he's not in trouble. He's just... He needs to clear these things with me before he makes decisions like that. Maybe he did clear it with me and I forgot. I don't know. I forget. If he did clear it with me first then, and I forgot, then I'm in trouble because I forgot. But anyway, so, alright. So for Assignment 9, you have another 2 weeks to get it in. However, I would highly recommend at least giving it a shot before the test tomorrow, because there is a fair amount of overlap between, well, like, it's like there's your practice questions for file I/O, right? So if you don't do the practice questions for file I/O, and then you get to the test and it has file I/O on it, and you don't know how to do file I/O because you didn't do any questions of that type yet, that's your fault. Not mine. Don't come and running to me. But yeah. So, anyway, are there any other questions pertaining to the test? Is internet data included in file handling? See, we used to include internet data more so than we do now, but it's just like a whole amount of, like, it's just a whole, like, it's just a whole thing, you know? And, so, it's, like, it's just, you know, it gets out of hand. So no, we've scaled it back to not look at internet data quite so much anymore. And there's none of it on the test. So, is looking up stuff on Stack Overflow allowed? So, looking up stuff on Stack Overflow, if that pertains to, like, technical problems, like looking up error codes, or, you know, trying to remind yourself what the syntax for usage of a particular function is, stuff like that, you're good. Do not post your code to Stack Overflow. Do not ask people on Stack Overflow to do your test for you. Okay? Because if you do, we'll find out, and you won't like the consequences. In particular, do not use Chegg. Under any circumstances, period, exclamation mark. Chegg is a plagiarism website. It pretends to not be a plagiarism website. It pretends to be a study aid. Oh, connect you to tutors type website, but it is plagiarism. Plagiarism. I, like... Ugh. There has been a lot of cheating this semester, with Chegg specifically. Chegg costs money anyways. Well, that's the thing, right? Is they think, like, people, I guess, think that because it's behind a paywall, we don't have access to it, so we can't check. But it's like, when, you know, literally 10 people in the class all have the same solution, it's like, You know, also, the people on Chegg have a very particular way of solving... people on Chegg have a very particular way of solving these problems. So, like, I've seen enough of them at this point that I could pick out a Chegg solution. Like, if it was a police lineup, right, and I had, like, some students' solutions and a Chegg solution in that lineup, I could pick out the Chegg solution, just because of the way they program at that place. Any tips if you get stuck? If you get stuck on a problem, stop working on that problem, do another problem, come back to the problem later. That's my big tip. The reason this works is that while your conscious front of brain processes will be working on another problem, your subconscious back of brain processes will be still working on that same problem that was giving you difficulty. So you're actually, you're doing like multi-processing in your brain if you come back to a problem you were having problems with, so to speak. But, yeah. It's, yeah, so that's my... Also, that's, like, just, like... You can eat up all of your time on a test, just like Pac-Man, if you just, like, do the test in order. Like, for me, when I'm writing a test, I never do the test in order, right? Yeah, like, always do the easiest questions first and save the hard ones for the end, right? This works particularly well on, like, more time-limited tests, you know? Like, if the more restrictive the time limit is, the more you should be doing that. Like, you should always make the test a maximization problem to make sure you have the maximum amount of grades possible on the paper as a function of time. So you really, what you want, ideally, is you want something like an inverted exponential curve. It's like you should be getting as many marks on the paper in the first like 10 minutes as you do in the last half hour. But yeah, I don't know why people pay for Chegg, because like for tutoring, because like it's not like we don't make ourselves available. That is to say, the grade team and I. Like, you will get better help from our TAs than you would ever get from Chegg. We will actually help you understand the problem instead of just giving you the answer. We will actually help you become better at programming as opposed to just giving you the answer. And if you come to us, that means that you won't get nailed for plagiarism. I really have like a serious hate on for Chegg this semester. Yeah. Is my brain really that smart? Yes! Your brain is like a wondrous, wondrous device. It's an extremely fancy meat computer. Sometimes a good nap helps, too. Yeah, well, you know, it depends on, like, other test tips. Obviously, get a good night's sleep the day before the test, right? Go to bed a little early, you know? My Tai Chi instructor once told me that the ideal time to be going to bed for an adult human is between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. I tend to think that's probably correct. Eat cheese. Like, get some protein on your stomach, you know? Eat something high protein, because your brain needs protein to function correctly. Um, this year they've been forcing us to do tests in order for some courses. Oh, yeah, yeah, that's, I was talking to Dr. Farmer, last week about, plagiarism mitigation strategies, and he apparently has been getting pretty good results with, that particular technique of having restricting you from being able to go back through the test. Apparently, that's a huge way to mitigate plagiarism. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work for the style of question that we have in this test. Plus, our setup isn't really designed for it. Also, and this is more of a theological point. There's no virtue in never being given the opportunity to do something bad and then not doing something bad. All of the virtue is having the opportunity to do something bad and then not doing it. But, are Chegg solutions to coding problems very clever? That's why you're able to tell the difference. No, they're not terribly clever often. It's just, first of all, they have a tendency to comment every line of code. So it's like they do try to, show a thought process for solving the problem. It's just whoever they have doing it has a very idiosyncratic way of thinking through problems. And, you thinking, the way you think through the problems is going to be unique to you, unlike what a lot of people think. Also, I don't want to give away all of the tricks, but they'll often also use, more advanced Python than we've covered, and, in general, you kind of, there's kind of, a mismatch that goes on. If you have a student's solution where they're using really advanced constructs, but then they're, not really coding the way an advanced coder would code with respect to, neatness and cleanliness of code, or they're, there are obvious tells that, a person only half understands the code they're writing. If you have, a person who only half understands the code they're writing, plus they're using, advanced libraries that they shouldn't even know exists, or, list comprehensions that are, super... if you're using list comprehensions on, assignment 2, you either know Python... You knew Python coming into this, or, and if you did, you would code better than that, right? Or you got it from somewhere else. But yeah. Is it still okay if we privately message TAs about your code tomorrow? Yes, that is the only acceptable way. That is the only acceptable way. And please use Piazza. Don't use Discord. Please don't, DM Mark on Discord or anything like that. Yeah. But why does the brain fail us in important moments? Because the brain is doing its best, the problem is not necessarily with the brain. It's might be your expectations of it, right? It's you gotta keep in mind the it's a great big sack of chemicals, right? Give the poor thing a break, Yeah. Cheese. Add in crackers to help your stomach. Yeah. Yeah, cheese and crackers. Yeah. Man, I'm a big fan of cheese. I think cheese is one of the essential human foods. Mm. How well are you expected to perform on this test? Well, generally speaking, my performance expectations are nominal 70 to 80% range is my expectation. That is the you got a meeting expectations grade. right? Um, if you got more than 80, then it's like, yeah, good, excellent. I don't have to worry about you. You know, you're doing fine. Even like 70, it's like you're doing fine. If you're getting lower than 70 consistently, though, it's like, I don't know. Like the last time I talked about this grade distribution stuff, and I realized like we really should be talking about the lecture because we've been banging on about this for like close to 30 minutes now. But you know, it seems like this is important to be talked about. Last time I sort of, I think people got the impression when I said like if you aren't consistently hitting like a 70, that like there's something wrong with you, you know? I don't want to give that impression, you know? Like it takes a while to really sort of have coding cemented in your brain, right? Like I often talk to students about like this click moment, right? And you have to kind of train your brain to think like a computer to be able to program computers. And like there's this moment in the life of every programmer where suddenly everything snaps into place and you suddenly understand coding, which means that you suddenly like you can program at like literally 3 times the speed. People who've had this moment know when like I remember when I had this moment, right? I was in like a tutorial in first year. But so I guess like there's nothing I can do to bring it about, unfortunately. Like if I could induce the click in a student, then I could teach literally anyone to program, but I can't, right? Like the problem is it's kind of like due to like certain factors about your life so far and your degree of mathematical prowess, like you know, your talent for mathematics combines with your experience with mathematics to like lower the click threshold, I think. But like once you have the click, you'll be able to code very like you'll be surprised how quickly you can code. And like I think it has something to do with like not having to overthink it anymore. Like I think that a lot of the problem people have with coding is that they overthink. They make things more complicated than they need to be. Like you really should be aiming for, like in terms of like the raw statements of the program, you should be aiming for the simplest thing that you can write that gets the job done, right? And of course, you know, you're not going to get there yet because you have to think in a more complicated manner in order to figure out what's not necessary in your more complicated thing and like, you know, whittle it down to your sort of nugget of pure calculus. But yeah, it's getting lower than 70 consistently on tests or including assignments. I would say definitely including assignments. What if I do good on assignments but bad on tests? I would say that probably means that you're spending too much time on the assignments, but you have the too much time to spend on the assignments because it's a less time limited scenario. Like, speed matters, you know? And yeah, personally, I think that there's a reason that like one test is weighted as much as like 4 assignments, you know, because it's a better indicator of like how well you understand the material, I think. But it's also a test of speed, and you need the speed if you want to if you're in the comp sci program and you have designs on becoming a, like, graduating, presumably you want to graduate, that's why you're in the program. But if you want to survive third year, for instance, you're gonna have to learn speed. You know, you're gonna have to learn how to streamline your process so you can finish things quickly, because otherwise you'll just be crushed. And the university will be absolutely happy to allow you to, you know, extend the duration of your degree program as long as you're still giving them money, you know? But yeah. Practice, practice, practice. After the world is seen in ones and zeros like the Matrix. Yeah, basically. Like, once you have the click, you'll be able to do things like look at a video game and, like, see the physics engine running, you know? It's very cool. Practice, practice, practice. Yes, yes, yes. How to study recursion. It really bothers me. Honestly, I would say not. I wouldn't even say study in Python. I would say study in Haskell. Like, I didn't really get recursion until I'd done a fair amount of programming in Haskell. If you're not one of the people in 1JC3, then, you know, perhaps you can swing by office hours sometime and I can show you how it works, but, yeah. Will dates be on the test? No, there won't be any dates or visualization on the test. So, shall we polish off visualization then? We just had a little bit left to do. So we talked about scatter plots. Let me open up my. I had a notebook going here. Bop. Jupyter Notebook. Yeah. What topic is the test up to? It would be the, just to, like, the middle of file I/O, really. So, I may have just given away too much. So, and it's on video. Gosh darn it. Let's see here. Here we go. Graphs and things. So, so we talked about bar charts. We talked about scatter plots. We talked about regular plots. We did a little bit of a cool animation thing. Let's talk about histograms very quickly. So a histogram is a frequency diagram, right? It demonstrates to you the number of times something in, like, it displays you bucketed data. So if you have a set of data with repeats in it, there we go, some data. PyPlot. I think I'm going to have to import PyPlot. I think I imported it as import PyPlot. Where's the invocation? There you are. Matplotlib. There we go. P.hist data. P.show. Name error. Data is not defined. Oh, well, that would be because I didn't define it. There we go. So, there you go. So there's histogram data for you. Very good. Bar charts we already talked about. Pie charts are kind of interesting. So, if you have some data, like, for example, data is equal to 98 and 2, And categories, it would be number of people asking for extensions, number of people working on assignment, number of people already done assignment. Then we have to set the aspect ratio equal to 1, otherwise you get an oval for some reason instead of a nice circular pie chart. So p dot subplot aspect equals 1. P dot pie data labels equals categories. P dot show. There you go. If you want to plot multiple things on the same plot, then you just perform multiple invocations. This style works as well. You can combine different plot types on one graph, which is cool. You can plot date-time objects, but generally speaking, when you plot a date-time object, it shows up as a timestamp code, right? Which kind of puts it more in bar chart territory than necessarily line chart territory, but, you know. Can you control the colors? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do I have something on here about controlling the colors? Let me look it up. Pie plot line color. Oh, okay, that's easy. Okay, that's super easy, actually. You just do, for example, here, color equals American spelling, color equals red. And there it's red. Color equals green. And it's green. Ta-da! That's how you do the color. So, this is a cool one, right? So, we have this ability to generate we have this ability to generate these plots, but, like, you know, if you were to do this in a command line environment, like pieplot.show doesn't really do much. So what you can do is you can save the figure to a file. And so we've got a little bit of file I.O. Going on right over here. So let's say I wanted to make this into a meme. Instead of saying p.show, I would say save fig. And you would select a file name. Funny meme.png. Let's see here. As long as I'm getting the syntax correctly. Yes. Good. Bop. Now, if I take a look in the file, I should have, yes, there it is, funnymeme.png. You can see that it very nicely puts it on a transparent background for you. And it's also a little bit cut off, which is okay. I don't care to fix it. So there we go. So, yeah, you can, I believe you would probably also have the ability to, like, enter hex codes for particular colors that you're interested in. Absolutely. But, But yeah, that's much easier than I thought it would be. Yes. So, yeah. So just to give you, like, an impression, then, of the types of things that you can do with PyPlot, kind of like a demo reel. There are many, many more different types of things that you can do with PyPlot. You know, just feast your eyes, you know? Can we edit the metadata of a file using Python? Yeah, probably. As long as you can read it. I don't know, it depends on whether it's binary encoded. If it's binary encoded, that might be difficult, but, yeah. Is the baby okay? Yeah, I'm sure the baby's okay.
He just dropped something.
Yeah, he just dropped something. He's fine. He got a little startled, I think. He didn't actually fall over or anything. Yeah. Yeah, he's, you know, it's kind of interesting now. He's, like, at an interesting part, he's at an interesting phase where, like, he used to not be scared by falling over, but now, like, he can, like, fall but be caught, but still cry, because it's the act of falling that's now scary, rather than, like, the actual cry response from having bumped his head. But, I know you can edit the metadata of zip files using the zip file library. Yeah. Yeah, it would be, like, you would need a library to do it, but, yeah. He's going through a system update. Yes, absolutely. Not just update, upgrade. He's having more RAM put in. Hold on, we don't have binary file I/O. So, not really. Like, you can, but it's difficult, right? Let's see. There's a thing called a hex editor. You don't like, when I need to do hex editing, I don't necessarily, like, do it in Python. There are different types of, when you're editing a binary file, I would suggest using a hex editor, which, basically what a hex editor does, it allows you to open up a binary file in, like, hexadecimal format. That way you can see the numbers and modify the numbers. But of course, if it's in hexadecimal, then there's no, like, help to you. You would have to know the file format and know, like, bytes this through that are the metadata, this byte is that metadata. You'd have to, like, look up the file format itself. But, yeah. No, prof, like, binary file I/O on the test. Oh, frig, no. Yeah. No, don't worry. I'm not that evil. Apparently, I'm on the level with Voldemort, according to my third-year class. But I'm not that evil. Even Voldemort isn't that evil. I can speak as a person who is now identified with Voldemort. But yeah. So, that's visualization. We have a few minutes left over. We can start talking a little bit about databases. There we go. Databases is fun. A lot of people like the databases material. Yeah. You saw the meme and you didn't like? Shame on you. Don't you know that I have a family to feed with those likes? I'm kidding. You can't actually feed a family with likes. Until you can. Yeah, if anybody missed it, I'll pull the meme up very quickly. There you go. This is what my third year class thinks of me. You give them like one project, I tell ya. True Evil would just be making the final exam the Python challenge, but with the questions slightly different. Yeah. Oh, thank you for the like. Yeah, thank you. There is no good or evil. There is only Haskell, and those too afraid to use it. So let's talk about databases. Just, you know, do an introduction to databases. So databases are like a thing that you probably haven't encountered yet unless you did like a specific course in high school on them. What a database is it's kind of like a distributed spreadsheet. It is a little bit like a distributed spreadsheet. However, like when I say distributed, I mean distributed across the internet. People and systems can log into the database, perform operations on the database, including adding new data to the database, and then, log out again. And the purpose of the database is to remain in a state of like constant good data through having multiple people interacting with it asynchronously, right? Or possibly even at the same time. So like this is the problem that databases are trying to solve, right? And if you think about something like Twitter, for example, I always say to people, Twitter isn't scary. The people on Twitter are scary. But Twitter itself is just a database, right? So this is how Twitter works, very roughly speaking, right? You've got a big centralized database of like all of the tweets, right? When you post a tweet, when you tweet a tweet, your tweet gets added to the database of tweets, right? When somebody views their Twitter feed, they're taking a view. This is actually technically what it's called, a view of the database with which filters for only those only tweets from those people they're subscribed to. Unless it's like the global news feed or whatever it is, where it's like tweets from other, like the top popular tweets from all people. It's like that's just a view of the database that like selects those tweets with the highest view count or the highest like or retweet counts, right? Like that's what database is under the hood. Is it's just a big database, right? But anyway, so next week we're gonna talk about databases. Any questions before I wrap things up here? How does Twitter know what to suggest to a new user? Machine learning algorithms? Yeah. So it's all just statistical analysis, right? It's like you have to give it something to go on, right? But Twitter maintains a database as well of like all of the things that everybody subscribes to, right? So essentially the calculation the algorithm makes is, on average, people who are subscribed to this channel, and that, or channel, if you're subscribed to persons X, Y, and Z, there's like a set of people that are, like, there's a set of people on Twitter that are common to most people who subscribe to those other ones, so that's who they suggest, right? I'm pretty sure you select topics you're interested in and when you make an account. Yes, but like which actual accounts hook up to, you know, those topics of interest is based on like an averaging over the people who are subscribed to channels and have, you know, expressed those interests. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the contents of the tweet. You can get there just with the subscribed information, or the subscription information. For files, is JSON a list of dictionaries, YAML's a giant dictionary, and CSV is also a list of a dictionary? So, no. YAML and JSON are the same under the hood. They're just written differently. They can't, like, a JSON can be a list of dictionaries as well. It can be any combination of lists and dictionaries. It's a more general format than CSV. CSV is just a list of lists, and sometimes, if it's got a header row, then it's a list of dictionaries. It is only that. JSON is a much more general format. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to log off here. Thank you very much for your time and attention, folks. Take her easy.